Hello, my babies. It's the even more fabulous Dr. Mother Love coming at you live and in living color. How about this living color? This is a beautiful place to be, and on the planet is a beautiful place to be. And sometimes, oftentimes, unfortunately, we make it so difficult. We make it so difficult, and we're on top of disasters. And speaking of disasters, we at Team Mother Love and Camp Kennedy send out our deepest, deepest, what can I say? We just here for you. It's gonna come to me. We are sending our love and our prayers to you, everybody who's affected by this, up and down the East Coast. And on top of Hurricane Helene, now we got Hurricane Milton coming along. And just to see all the crazy stuff that's going on, it's just, and then you got people down there coming out there lying about what President Biden is doing or is not doing. And I think that's more detrimental oftentimes to the community and to the United States. We're supposed to be pooling our resources together. And thank goodness we have people who are level-headed enough. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, soon to be the first woman president. Oh my God. And that's going to be wonderful. And when we have people like the 45th, who is doing like more damage than anything, instead of helping people uplift themselves and get through what they're supposed to be, what we've got to do. This has just been an absolute, every day. And we're despondent here over in California, and we feel the pain. And I just could not even imagine what we have seen on television with the destruction, with the deaths. We're still missing people out there that we don't know where they are. And I wanted to know, when the government says, and the weather people tell us, you need to evacuate now. Should you decide to not evacuate, we can't come for you. We try to be Superman and come for you. And the National Guards and the police officers and the first responders and the fire department and the police department, everybody in Florida and around the country are putting themselves through this and helping each other through this. I was listening to Governor DeSantis this morning, who actually started making sense. But the only reason I think it started making sense is because somebody gave him a rundown of, okay, this is the person, this is the group that we need to call. Let's call the National Guard. They're saying that he said today that there are 9,000 boots on the ground to help the citizens of Florida. And, it's not about whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're an independent. It doesn't even matter if you don't vote. Well, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. So if you don't vote, that's on you. If you don't exercise heed the warnings that the weather department and the state of Florida have said, you need to evacuate now. I know the angst of having to evacuate, not on the level that they are on, but it was no. We had a fire. We had a massive fire. We lived up on a hill, and we see the valley, and actually you could see the Rose Bowl from our house. And so we're watching it, and the flames look like they're like jumping, and they're jumping, and they're jumping, and we're like, oh, we'll be fine. It's not going to jump all the way over here. Even though it was ash and smoke, and we could barely breathe, and we literally had masks on. My husband trust me, we got a to-go bag. Okay, anytime we jump off, we ready to go. We're not looking around for where my meds are, where my injection needles are. We're not looking for the gas mask. We're not looking for the the rations. We're not looking for the water that we need, because we don't know what we're going to do. He got a series to go bag, and it's in a bag about this big for all of us. We have 4 grandchildren and 2 adults besides my husband and myself. Those would be our first line to get that. We also had and we still do, an earthquake evacuation plan. Because out here in California, you don't know what's going to jump up. We could have a riot, a fire, a quake. Oh my! But that's what happens, and we need to be prepared. And I know, oftentimes, people say, "Well, I don't need to be prepared. That's never going to happen to me. I'm not gonna. It's not going to touch me." That was me in my bobo head thinking I could literally fight fire. And we're watching neighborhoods burn to the ground. And I was so glad and so humbled that he didn't listen to me on that part. And he said, no, we going to have some to-go bags. And we keep it. He switches out, I think, every 3 months or something like that, just to make sure that the provisions are there and that they're safe for us to eat and or drink. And so we get our to-go bag, and I'm thinking it's not going to happen. But we lived at the base of a mountain, not on the mountain. I had to tell my sister, don't be telling people I live live on the mountain. No, I don't. We're at the base of a mountain. And when you're in California, the valley goes down and then it comes up and then it goes down and these are mountains and people honestly forget about the fact that we live in a desert. It's just a modernized desert, I'm saying. And so we have these different kind of weather incidences. And so when the fire jumped off, and literally they came through the neighborhood, and we lived in a gated community. I didn't know anything about, what it makes sense that they could get up there. And so they were coming through the neighborhood. And they were riding around, and you could hear that, hear the sign. You couldn't hear the sirens, but sometimes you could. And then you see the lights, and if they're not, you can hear them when they say, "This is the National Guard. This is the whatever police department it is. You need to evacuate immediately." And I was like, "I want to evacuate. We work so hard for everything we have, everything. I mean, and it's just stuff." And he got a sister off the roof. He said, "Darling, wipe your face off, dry your eyes. We have a plan, and we got the to-go bags." And when we were literally coming out of the house, you could see the flames jump across the mountain, and it was burning right in front of us. It was burning. Okay, see the Hollywood sign in the back of my prop. Okay, imagine that sign being the one that you got to get out of there. Now, we were up on a hill like this, okay, and just for instance, so we're on the other side of this hill, and it'll go down again. Well, it jumped from over this hill down in the valley up to the mountain range above us. The flames it was just so. That's what I'm saying. I know what that angst is like. You have to evacuate your home, the place that your kids grew up, what you built, the place that you have longed to retire with and probably want to die in the house. I don't know. But babies, y'all, let me just tell you, it's tough. And we have family and friends who have family and friends in Florida as that Hurricane Helene rolled up the coast and went inland, and it started flooding North Carolina, South Carolina, and it was just getting crazy. And we don't know where they are. We don't know if they're dead, damned, or delivered. So I would pre-venture to say it would behoove us to stay steadfast, to heed the warnings. When they come and tell you, you have to evacuate now. And there are people who are steadfast. Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm staying. I understand that mentality. And some of our people that are in North Carolina and South Carolina, they're being razzed because they don't have flood insurance. Well, who would ever thought that North Carolina and South Carolina would flood, would have 15 inches of rain drop down on them? Who could even know that? And then you got these crazy, and yeah, I'm telling y'all bat crap crazy, and you need to stop it. We are a country in distress right now. We need all of our resources to be focused on making sure that people around up the coast and that are working through and have survived the Hurricane Helene. And then we got Hurricane Milton coming in. So, and they're saying this can go from a category 3 to a category 5 in that much time. When they tell you to get out, babies, get out. Check on your loved ones. Check and find out how they're doing, if you can, because the communication towers, they said, are going down. A hurricane, quite like all other natural disasters. And, we don't control the weather. We think we can. We thought we could. And you know that we can't control the weather when the weather people come around and they say, it's going to be this, it's going to be light and sunny. It's going to be, breezy. It's going to be colder okay. You know what I'm talking about. It's going to be hell to tell the captain. And they are going through hell. And to come out in public as one of the people that other people look up to, but they do. And you come out, the 45th president of the United States came out and said, it was so stupid. It was just, I can't even repeat the stupidity. Look it up, y'all. It was just ignorant. And I'm just surprised, because this election is getting closer and closer. And I remember Governor DeSantis saying that Florida is where woke goes to die. So you don't want your people and your constituents to know what is going on, to be aware. And I really don't think a lot of these politicians understand what woke is. We kind of know you don't know what woke is. This is woke. This is not. This is woke. This is not. When you're awake, you wake up to the truth. You wake up to the reality of what's really going on. Sure. We'd like for the world to respond and go along with the people and the ideas in our head. But some of your ideas are just plain stupid. But we can't expect something stupid. You know what they say crazy is doing something over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. We got to expect a different outcome. We are not crazy. We're not going to do this over. We're not going to elect somebody who doesn't even believe and was just spew hatred. This cat is down there talking about, governor couldn't get a hold of the president, and the president is shirking his responsibilities. I don't even want to go into how I can imitate that, but the words are the same. And Governor Kemp came out. Now, this is a different governor. Governor DeSantis is down there in Florida. This is a different governor. Governor Kemp came on television and on the news media and said, that's an out and out lie. When the president called me, I was doing something else and I happened to miss his call. I called him back and he was there. He was on the phone asking us, what did we need? He didn't say, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat or are you independent? He said, and Kamala Harris has said this when she was a prosecutor, she would say to her clients, same thing. I'm not asking, I couldn't even imagine asking somebody what their political party is when they're in a state of crisis. She said, I never asked them what they missed. I never asked them anything. I didn't ask them what political party they belong to. I asked them, how do you feel and what can we do to help you get through this crisis? And we see true leadership and who she is and what she does. And you can make up a whole bunch of about anybody. And I know what that's like. But see, when you know that they're lying on you, you don't have to defend yourself. Why would she need to defend herself against stupidity? And just the viciousness. It's like, I don't know what it's like. He sounds like a petulant child, and he acts like a petulant child. And, I blame the 45th on a lot of stuff, for the divisiveness in this country. The hatred that is being spewed. People are losing their lives, but we keep saying it's not a national crisis. This is a national crisis. And this is when we pool our resources and our minds together to help each other and ask, what can I do to help you? What do you need me to do? Tell me what you need. Tell me how you feel. What can we do? People have lost everything. And everything. People don't understand when you lose everything. They say, you can get it back. And if there's a best case scenario for this, we will remember We will not allow them to have died, have been injured, have their lives turned upside down. We don't take this in vain. We really don't. We are suffering and struggling with you through a lot of issues. Right now, we got to be concerned about human issues. We have to be concerned about our shared dialogue, what we can do together as a country. They keep saying, and I'm saying they are the Republicans, they are the doomsayers, they are the liars, they are the grifters, they are, the ones that are wanting to change history. Okay, so if you change history, if you could, you can't change it. What happened yesterday, you can't go back and fix it. What you learned from yesterday's mistakes and or challenges and or your successes yesterday, what you gonna do today? How you gonna step it up? Learn from the mistakes that you made. Learn from the visceral things that you've said to other people. The 45th seemed like he gave racist people to be able to come out and just say whatever they want. Yes, say whatever you want. You can't, you don't get to do that without repercussions. You can say what you want to say. We still have free speech. We don't know for how long. We still have a whole bunch of work to do. Okay. Hey, where you at? Well, he's coming on directly. And we still got a lot of work to do. We have probably the most serious election that we can get, that we're going to have in our lifetime. We've never seen things like this. We've never been through anything like this. And we've been through hell and gasoline underwear, America.
That's it. You can't say
I can't. Hey, man, hey, is that you, Mr. Strickland? Hello? Hey. He's not there. And so I'm waiting for my guest to patch in. So this is the time I can get on my little soapbox and say, well, I got a big soapbox. Because there's a lot of things that are just really not conducive to what our Constitution says. And in the Constitution, see, obviously, a lot of these people that got into this trouble behind this crazy person, something is not right with him. There's not been anything been right with him since he was a little boy, and he must have got stuck in a time warp between 11 and 13 years, and he can't go beyond that. I remember reading that they said one of his teachers said he was the worst student he ever had. Now, when that came out, nothing seemed to deter people. No, he's our guy. We're going to do it. He's our guy. You're going to do it. I still can't get him. But we'll get him. And we people that keep listening to him and keep following behind this hatred, those are the ones that we need to really be concerned about, because he's only one person. He's the only Republican candidate for the president of the United States. And he shouldn't be anywhere near a ballot box. The Constitution says, look it up, you. Look it up so you get some knowledge. Look it up, read it, then read it to yourself out loud. Then read it again, and maybe then you'll grasp what these amendments are, what these rules are governing the United States of America and our Constitution. I mean, there's just too many red flags, and people want to forget about. He's been convicted of 34 felonies. Well, I don't even want to go through all that. I want to go through the part where he's going out here, getting on the news media saying that the president is not doing anything. The president, the Biden-Harris ticket have ruined it. It's all their fault. Okay. When Al Gore, former VP Al Gore, told us with proof, he had proof to back up that we, the people of the United States of America, were killing each other, poisoning each other. We putting out all these fossil fuel chemicals that are being burned off and being burned into the element. And so where did you think they were going to go? He told us point blank, we had to do something about this now. We need to get rid of leaded gas, and we need to go to a cleaner way of driving our automobiles and our trucks. And and diesel fuel was just ridiculous. And we need to be able to stop polluting the planet, just stop polluting the planet. I don't understand nuclear weapons and why anybody would think that they would need a nuclear weapon. I mean, I was around when. No, I wasn't around when they dropped. We, the American people, dropped 2 bombs, one on Nagasaki and one on Hiroshima. We saw the devastating. We saw the destruction. We saw what happened at the when the I'm gonna call it when there was a chemical meltdown, and they can't use any of that space anymore. Why can't I, Miss Skinny? What's the name of the you know where it is? We have to stop using that. We have to find a smarter way, a cleaner way to power our engines, and because we're starting to kill each other off. And people were saying, the doctor, well, they have lung cancer, but he never smoked. He never smoked, or he didn't eat the right things, or she never drank it. People, you don't understand what you do. Maybe not to you, but to other people. I never would have even thought of a phrase called secondhand smoke when I was a smoker. Yes, it was one of the dumbest, stupidest, and I take aim for. I'll even take aim for the stupidity I gave to my mother for wanting to smoke cigarettes in front of her. Okay, because my 12-year-old cousin could, not could. I was stupid. So anyway,
I'm having a call.
Okay. So they don't care. So I was talking about fossil fuel and how it's poisoning us. And as kids, I'm a baby boomer, and a lot of our generation have developed lung cancer, some kind of cancer. They didn't even smoke. They don't understand what it does, and it can just really devastate you and your entire family. And after seeing the commercials and the PSAs on what happens to your body when you smoke, and they got to take your lung out and put a tube in your back, and half of her face is missing. And then they got the other lady where she's speaking through a voice box because she lost all use of this because of smoking. That we can do something about. And I know people, and we can do something about these drastic climate changes. Stop burning all this fossil fuel and put it out there. Oh, but you don't understand. This is an oil country, and we do everything based on our oil consumption. And we got to get the oil from someplace, so we get it from the Saudis, and they paying 19 cents a gallon for gas, and we paying $5, $5. The highest I've seen it is $5.19 a gallon. And the gas prices are different in what state you go to. It's the highest is out here. So we're polluting our air more so than a lot of people. And and I think it's especially the inland people where there is no waterway for them to get out. They have to go across state lines, to get to water wherever they're wanting to go. It is our responsibility to take care of ourselves, our families. Participate, and not just participate, be involved, volunteer in your neighborhood. I guarantee you, when you are out there putting your soul and your heart out there to help somebody else, especially to help somebody you don't know. We don't know a lot of these people. Okay, let me see if he's. Oh wait, see, I got on the roll now. Okay, I don't know why this thing is not working. Nonetheless. Can you hear me, Bill? I can't hear Bill. Okay, well, we're gonna work on hearing Bill shortly. Okay, so, and what Bill is calling he is Bill Strickland. He is the COO of the Polk Institute. And the Polk Institute is a nonprofit organization that helps and mentors and guide people through their program. Once they get finished with the program, they will be a much more informed entrepreneur. Coming up shortly, the Polk Institute, they're having one of these. They call themselves the cohorts, and I'm like I'm like a semi cohort. I'm the media cohort, and what they do is they put on these workshops. And there's a panel of judges, and people can come in. You got to be an entrepreneur. And your business, you could just be starting your business. You might just be having an idea for your business. You might have an idea for your business, and you don't know which way to go. You might have started your business, and you want to find out and learn how you can help your business grow. And and then have it replicated around whatever you're doing. And I've been to a couple of their these sessions, and these young people are absolutely phenomenal for what they're bringing to the table, and each one is different. So they're hand selected. Who do we think will make the most of their knowledge from this organization, from the Polk Institute. And you'd be surprised how many people think they can go into business with no blueprint, with no steps, with no back end, with no out. And that was something that I didn't think about when we were starting our businesses. And I use these. I play from the back up to the front. I get my idea. I get what I need, and what, and I go for what do I want? What is gonna be the end use of this idea? So I'm like, okay, this is what you want to do, mother love. Okay, we got think on over here. Then you come up. Then I go down the line, and I get to the end point. This is what I want to do. This is the place I want to end this project right here, and they will step with you and guide with you and go step with you to show you how to make that work. And I think I'm, all that in a chip factory already, so they ain't have to worry about my ego going up. And so I realized there was a major component that was missing for my end game, because I didn't think I would have an end game. And the Polk Institute taught me the importance of, just like you got an end game, you need to have an out game. You need to have a plan for, should you decide to sell your business? What if your business goes belly up? What if you want to retire? What if you want to, sell it to somebody else or whatever? I didn't have an end game for that. Just never even thought about it. And I did all the stuff I thought I was supposed to do. And when I went to one of the sessions, in one of the sessions they were talking about in the module, they were talking about what is your end game? And I was like, what's that mean, my end game? That means when I'm in, it's over. That means when you end, whether it's life or, you die or whatever the consequences are, you got to have it. You have to have it just like you got an end game. You need to have an out game. And out, you got to have Bill, don't say that, mother. Why do you want to hurt people with that? And so I just wanted you all to know. Okay, so back to the Polk Institute. And it was founded by this gentleman whom I have absolutely loved. His name is Gary Polk. And Bill Strickland is his COO. And his staff is just phenomenal. I mean, they will be there with you every step of the way. And I believe one of them is 11. One is 11 and one is 12. And so you got, I think it's 11 months and 12 months. I mean, so they get down to what they used to say. They get down to the real nitty gritty. They go in and they work with you. And then when you get yourself together, you're ready to present your project to this esteemed panel of judges who are already entrepreneurs, who are already successful. Bill Strickland, speaking of his success, I don't know why my mouth is dry. I need some stuff. Wait a minute, hold on. And this stuff is great. And so in Bill's previous life, he was I guess he could still do it. He is a transactional attorney. So, I had to Google it to see what it meant. So what he did was, he is the big guy on the porch. He is the intermediary between an NBA player or a NFL player. He was the one in the middle. So you got this guy right here who's the athlete, and then you got Bill Strickland, and then you got the NBA or the NFL or whoever he was dealing with. Transactional attorneys are the ones that make those big transactions. And these players are making a grip now because of people like Bill Strickland. I mean, he comes in and, I've met him, and he pretty much is really, he looked like he run things. He just looked like he run things. And he looks like a CEO. He looks like what he is and what he does. And so he was responsible for brokering many millions of dollars. Dare I say $100 million? Can we go even higher? Go, mother love. But this is just to show you how humble this guy is. He could do anything. And one of the things that he did do was he started his own management company. He ran it successfully for 10 years. And then he had an end game. So when he came out of being that transactional attorney for the NFL and the NBA players, not all of them, some of them, he knew what he wanted to do. And lo and behold, if we don't get this to work for him today, we will have him on to work for it later on. They're having
No bill. We can't get a door.
Oh, well, we didn't get Bill. Okay, we didn't get Bill. You want to come over here? Because we got something to celebrate. I want to go. Just roll your chair over. We don't want to leave him hanging. I am keeping talking. And so here we are. And Bill, well, we can't get Bill today. We don't know what happened to Bill. We love you, Bill. We'll have him on. But nonetheless, that does not, this guy's a powerhouse. And they're having a cohort meeting on October 16th.
Well, who is?
The Polk Institute. And so they'll have people come in and you get the entrepreneurs, the wannabe entrepreneurs, the ones who are doing it and the ones that, want to come in and do it. We've been to they had a presentation once and I thought it was a great idea. It really was, but I don't know if people want to, this young couple came in, they had designed a bulletproof vest for kids. And this was in the vein of so many mass shootings at so many schools, and the kids are unprotected. When you got the police department hankering down in the hallway because they won't go in and rush in and try to save children. These are children. So they came up with the bulletproof vest. And so, like I said, it was a good thing because we want to keep our kids protected. None of us ever would have thought that we had to think about keeping our kids protected when they went to school. Did you feel like you went to a pretty safe school in Cleveland?
Well,
that's Mr. Kennedy. For those of you who don't.
Well, first of all, I lived in the ghetto, so they say that if it was a safe school, relatively speaking, yes, there wasn't any major incidents. But you were not having the shootings that you have now. Then, so you can't compare.
We have big fights.
They have fights now.
I know
you can't compare fights to someone actually coming to a school just in the intent of shooting to kill people. That's altogether different. No, we never had that before. No, that's not something that people were ready for because it was not something that we ever had to deal with. So growing up as a kid and going to school, no, that was not even something that anybody even imagined that could happen. The fact that we as a society as said, okay, well, we don't want one thing, we want to give people freedom so that they can live their lives, but then say, even while they're living their lives, if they feel that they've been slighted, that they can decide, well, I can go and kill innocent people, because everybody in the school that even this last shooter, when he went in there and shot the 4 people, those 4 people none of them had anything
to do with him,
hurt him in any kind of way. He had not even been at the school long enough to say that he had someone that he could dislike. That was something that he brought from his former school, or that's something that he brought from home on his own thinking. But the parents knew about that. See, there's a difference.
And they had guns in the house.
But I'm not blaming the parents for having guns in the house. I'm blaming them for, your child.
For having guns in the house and not having them secured.
But the fact that you have guns in the house. We had guns in the house.
We had guns in the house.
Okay, that didn't make you go, because there was a gun in the house, so, well, I'm going to take the gun and go out here and shoot somebody. We did not grow up that way thinking like that.
Right.
Okay, I'm saying with the young man who recent gun shooting at the school, okay, his parents, like his mother, called that day
and said
there's something wrong because he left her a text message. So, but that also tells you that they have been concerned about his behavior already.
That's why they moved him from the school.
They moved him from the one district and moved him to the next district, so nobody would know. So when nobody would know, see, they were hiding. They were protecting their son by moving him from one school district to the next. on top of it, by moving their son, okay, the next school district did not know that he might be that violent, that he might even, but his mother called that day because he sent her a text and said, I'm sorry. And he said, I'm sorry, Mom. And she instantly thought that he was going to go and do something. So that meant he would have been talking about it before. She knew about it, but you never told the school about it.
And the other school district didn't call us. But
the other school district, he never took a gun there.
Right.
He left that school district. So
for something.
Okay, but you don't know why people leave one school district and go to another, because he could have been telling his parents that he was being bullied at the other school, and that's why he went to the new school. But the police that came to his house the year before and questioned him because of a note that he had left. So his parents was aware. See, it's a difference to say, okay, I never was aware of what my child might have been thinking, might have been wanting to do, because we never spoke about that. They knew it because the police actually came and talked to the father and the son together. So to say that we didn't know, that's a total misleading the public. Yes, you did know, because the police came to your house, they talked to you, and that was in the spring. And then that winter for Christmas, you bought the son
a gun for Christmas.
Okay, even though you already knew that
he was unstable, or he even had those kind of unstable thoughts.
He had those thoughts. You knew it, your wife knew it. Even though y'all were estranged, even though y'all were estranged,
you're talking about the parents were estranged,
right? That does not change the fact that y'all still knew the thoughts that your son was having. He could have been having those thoughts because of what you and the mother and the father was going through, because they always assume that it doesn't affect the child. I mean, it's quick for parents to say, "Oh, they're not being affected." No, they're not being affected by that at all.
No, because this one. They'll be all right with it.
Well, it's saying that they're not affected, or they'll be all right.
And sometimes they would be right, because sometimes one spouse can be very abusive. He can be physically abused,
and the kids are happy.
Right, and emotionally abused. Especially a young guy. He at home with his mom and dad, and he thinking he's gonna be the two people that protect me where I can be safe. And then who knows? Then your father come in screaming and hollering. He want to smack the wife down. Now I'm saying not him, but I've seen enough abusive situations to know that you got to do something. You have to do something. And a lot of women, they do something. They get up in the middle of the night, they get their kids up, and they get out. Why did you leave daddy? Because I got tired of daddy beating on.
But they knew they
watching it. They hear it.
But the fact that in this case, and in their particular case, where the mother called the school, so it wasn't like she didn't know that there was something up. See, it's hard to imagine. You just up and call the school for no reason because you got a text. That text triggers something in your mind to think, I better call the school because I think our son it made me want to do something that he should not be doing. The fact that he was so new to the school, they went to the classroom and they didn't know the young man because he was new.
He wasn't even there 2 weeks.
And then show up for school most of that 2 weeks to start with, because the young girl that was sitting next to him said he never showed up that often for school. So it wasn't like she even knew. She said, I really didn't know him because he was rarely in school. And then when he did come to school, he was quiet. So he wasn't talking. So she had no way of kind of gauging him one way or the other. So, well, he seems like this. And
these are middle school kids, right?
Yeah,
middle and high school.
But the fact that they wouldn't have not just simply known that.
Right.
I mean, it takes the child to say, okay, well, this is how I'm feeling. And you mention it to somebody and they say, oh, well, that's what you're thinking. Okay, they didn't, but the mother knew. She could have called the school.
The father knew.
The father
Why would you get a child a gun? Well, down there, you get kids.
Okay, but once again, the assumption is if you did that, you assume that your child was mentally stable. I mean, you wouldn't have bought it if you thought he was mentally unstable, but you didn't know any better. You did something that you thought was the correct thing, but it wasn't. And the fact that the mother or the father could have warned the school in advance. Okay, our son, has been really moody lately, and he's been talking about hurting people. So
or hurting himself.
And so the school would have been aware. You call a day other incident and say,
I think something going to jump off. Y'all need
but it was too late. But they didn't really know. I mean, so that to me comes back to the parents. You should have been informed of the school. I mean, even when we were adopting kids, and one of the kids that we were adopting had a tendency to want to be violent. Mm-hmm. We informed the school even before he arrived.
Right.
Okay, we went up to the school. So it wasn't like we was going to send him there and say, oh, you'll figure it out after he gets to school. No, we went to the school beforehand to let them know what he was like, so that we was making arrangements with the school to say, now this is the course of action that us and the school would we be taking to curtail his, him doing something to harm somebody else. Mm-hmm. We used to go to counseling. He went to counseling. 3 days a week. We went to counseling with him 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. So it was not that we was not taking action. We didn't just sit back and say, oh, well, we'll pretend like there's nothing wrong and hope that everything will be all right. No, you have to be willing to say, look, accept the fact that your child may have problems and be willing to talk about it. If you're not willing to talk about it with the school, then you're not willing to truly try to help make a difference. And that does matter.
And when you take a proactive approach, I don't care how I shouldn't say I don't care how proactive you get. When you are dealing with an adverse situation and you have to take steps and make plans and have a beginning game, go through that and have an end game. What will be the out? We have a plan.
We took the steps.
Yeah.
We were proactive by going to the school, by letting the school know that he had a problem. So it wasn't like we said, oh, we'll let them figure it out. No, we went to the school and let them know ahead of time. Okay, now we want you to have a counselor with him at school because we were working and we could not be there during the daytime. I used to I would leave work, come and pick him up from school so I could get a daily report on what was happening, what would have happened that particular day. The only way you can really say that you care, that you got to be proactive.
Yeah.
You can't just say, well, I hope that my child get better.
And really, you have to make a plan.
And we did make a plan.
I know.
And we made a plan. And just like I'm talking about his parents, I'm saying his parents. Now you got to warn him when the police came to your house and said your son posted this message up about doing harm. Mm-hmm. Well, we want to come and talk to you ahead of time. And the policeman told him, because God forbid that something bad happens, and now we're coming back because something bad has happened.
And we didn't have a conversation from the beginning.
And so the parents knew, the son knew because the police that came there to their home. The mother knew because they told the mother that the police that came there. I mean, that's what prompted her when this day when he called and said, "Okay, Mom, I'm sorry." She that triggered something in her mind and said, he's about to do something wrong. And she called the school. I mean, so the school was trying to do the right thing. The mother should have said something. I mean, I don't know if she could. What else she could have said? No more than. I think the biggest problem is that they left guns available to the son, even though he was talking. I mean, my thought was you should have kept any kind of weapons locked up until you knew his attitude had changed.
Right.
Because sometimes people go through a phase, especially when you're a kid. There's some things you grow out of, some things you don't grow out of.
Some things you grow into.
But no matter what.
Hey, Robin is on the line with us. She is a wonderful lady. It is so good to see you two.
From Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, what's going on out there? How you guys doing?
Hope you're safe and everybody else. But one of the things you have to know, you have to know your child. And for parents to want other parents to think, well, maybe I really didn't know my child. Yes, you did. I mean, whether you want to admit it or not.
That's what people don't. Adults do not want to admit
that their child is a problem.
That their child is a problem. They don't want to admit and accept the fact that their child is mentally ill. Mental illness. We've been preaching about this for decades. We have to take care of our mental wellness. You listen to a whole bunch of negativity all day long. You've been called out your name. You've been, tell you what what you're doing and what you never give you credit for what you've done right. You only get credit for what you've done wrong. And then when you got little kids and you're paying more attention to one than you are the other, then the other one is going to want to act out because he or she wants that attention.
Yeah.
And I want to pay attention to, and I want things my way. And I'm like, but you're a kid. We make the rules and regulations. I'm not going to tell you. You ain't going to tell me what to do. He is the Jedi Knight dad. Let me tell you. And when we knew that he needed some help, when we realized that this baby was,
we went out and saw him. We didn't sit back and say, well, I'll bury my head in the sand and pretend like, well, it'll just go away. No, because you should care. And if you honestly do care, then you're gonna make an effort to change things.
Right.
No, we took proactive steps. We let the school know ahead of time. Right. I came to the school on a regular basis. Even to sit in the classrooms. Because I thought you should do everything you can as the parent to make sure that your child don't harm somebody else.
And don't harm himself either.
But I was more concerned about him harming somebody else child because they had no reason for him to harm them.
Right.
So I don't want him to harm somebody else and say, wow, I didn't pay that any attention. Or I don't want to. I don't want you to put a stigma on my child. If it needed to be put on him, then put it on him because you want to protect other people.
It's the truth.
Because if the shoe was on the other foot and somebody else's child was coming hurting your child, first thing you would say, why didn't they tell me? Why didn't they say something?
And we had an incident like that with him. Remember when he was walking around trying to kiss all the girls, sticking his tongue down their throat,
that's why we started taking them to counseling. So we were being proactive. If you're not being proactive, then you're saying, okay, well, I hope that he'll grow out of it. I hope the situation work itself out. Maybe he'll run across somebody else who's bigger than him or stronger than him.
Well, that didn't seem to matter to him.
Well, I mean,
at the time, because I remember
because he had mental problems.
Right. I remember our did I call her our nanny?
Yes.
Okay. She was our nanny.
Yes.
And she was there with them, so when they got out, Dad took them to school and then he would go pick them up. And, to make things, we were thinking smoothly. At the time, our nanny didn't have a driver's license. So she went to driving school, got her license and everything. And she was, she was pretty happy. Yeah. And the problem with her, though, was she thought you were being too strict on him. He had rules and regulations that he had to follow. If he misbehaved, there's no television. That's before video games where it came out.
Yes. Okay. It might have been the start of video games, right. but the point is just being that we did not just overlook things right. and say, well, okay, if he did this, well, then we'll just say, he got a problem. I mean, even the nanny used to say, you're being too strict on him because he's just a little child. I'm like, a little child that's hurting another little child, it's still a problem. I don't care what the circumstances were where he was before he came to us. That does not justify him hurting people now that he's with us, right. or continue to hurt people because maybe he was hurting people at the other place that he was at. And we had because we don't actually know that. I wasn't just taking it for granted. I'm saying, look, if you know something is wrong, act like you know something is wrong. Don't pretend like I'll just turn my head and say, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping to get better.
And you know how we talk about having that village around us to support us.
We had a village because the school was right there with us, 100%. The school said, okay, you came to us and let us know that there was an issue, and us and you will work to help to resolve this and make sure that your son is okay and make sure the other kids in this classroom and in the school is okay, because we were proactive. Right. We didn't sit back and try to pretend like, our son is just perfect. He would never want to hurt somebody. No, once we knew that he was violent, we immediately said, let's start taking steps to prevent him from hurting somebody else versus saying, I'll try to blame the other child and say, well, the other child provoked him. No, it wasn't about the other child provoking him. It was about the issues that he brought into the home himself.
And he was so deeply wounded.
Already.
He was,
it does not.
Deeply, it didn't justify what he did.
That you don't hurt somebody else because you're hurt. That's what we was going to counseling. Right. It's to figure out what we can do to make things better. I mean, you can't control everything in life, but some things you can. And if you know that your child has a problem, bury your head in the sand does not make the problem go away.
No, it doesn't. And I'm telling you, I got called everything but a child of God. We had a really bad incident. I mean, it was really it was bad. The police got involved. He had to be taken to the hospital. And when the police got to our house, they just assumed that he was like a teenager. You know, so they went out looking for him. They find him. He's screaming and hollering, coming back. And we had like a huge yard, and you could hear him screaming for blocks. And they brought him in the house, and they said, well, ma'am, we're going to need to take him because he's been violent with the nanny. Remember, he had slapped her or somebody.
And we said, yes, we'll meet you at the hospital.
Meet you at the hospital.
It was not about burying your head in the sand and saying, even I know there's a problem, I'm going to try to pretend like there's not.
Like I
and that's what a lot of the problems come, is when people do not accept the fact that your child has a problem.
Or your child is sick. When he got to the hospital, they were assessing him. You know, and the police were there just to try to keep him calm.
Yes.
You know, he was like this close away from being in a straight jacket, but he was a kid. And the police were like, we thought it was like a teenager or something. The way, you know, people were talking about. They get him. He's not even 4 feet tall. So we get there. We talked to the police. You talk to the police. I went to talk to the intake people because they said the nurse went in. This is how he ended up having to stay in the hospital. The nurse went in. They had a psychiatric nurse come in, who specializes in children's mental health issues, and she was in there with him. And you know, whatever questions that she was asking.
One of the main questions she asked him, you know, was he calmed down enough? Was he ready to go back home? And he told her no, he was not ready to go back home because he wanted to reunite with his birth mother. Mm-hmm. Okay, which we had no control over that. No, his birth. I mean, because if his birth mother wanted to be with him, he would have never came to us to start
in the first place.
You know, so I mean, there was a reason why he was not with her, is because she didn't want to take. She wasn't able to take care of him and his sister. Mm-hmm. Okay, because it was the two of them that at that time.
Too much detail.
Just them two. But the fact that by doing that, we stepped up though. Right. You can't solve a problem by not stepping up.
They kept him in the hospital. And he tried to be violent with us, you know, and we were like, that's not going to be tolerated under any circumstances. We sat down with them beforehand, let them know what the rules and regulations are, and what your party is,
what the boundaries are,
and you have a responsibility in this family. All kids got a responsibility. You don't just let kids sit around, not do anything. We got up and had to do chores every Saturday. We had to learn to wash, had to learn to iron. We had to learn how to cook. We had to know how to clean the house up, you know, so we could have these basic skills that when we went out there into the world, we could be viable, productive members of society. Nobody ever told him that he was responsible and he had a shared responsibility in the community to be the best young boy he could. And he didn't want to hear them. This is why they kept him, because the nurse came in and she asked him, was he
calmed down enough, so he was no longer a threat to anyone. And no, he didn't say that he was a threat to anyone. But he said, no, he didn't want to go home because he wanted to be reunited with his birth mother. Okay, which is all one good. I'm not mad at him, even
for wanting that.
Wanted to be reunited with his birth mother. Mm-hmm. But it takes two. She had to want to reunite with her son as much as he had wanted to reunite with her. No, him saying I can be mean and treat other people badly because that will force them to reunite me with my mother.
Well, and nobody could even find.
But you can't reunite somebody with somebody who didn't want to be reunited. And at that time.
Okay, well let me just finish the end part of why they kept him in the hospital. He said he didn't want to go home, and they said, well, there's really no reason for you not to go home. You know, your parents are loving. You know, you all right. You'll be all right. They love you. And he was sitting on the bed, and he jumped up and slapped the nurse. He became violent with the nurse. The police, thank goodness they hadn't left yet, and they came in and had to restrain him. And they said, we gonna need to keep him for 72 hours because we want to make sure he doesn't harm anybody.
We have to figure out what's caused the problem, because
you're
not trying to harm somebody else or want anybody else harm. I mean, but the fact that we were being proactive, that's all I'm saying to any parent, is that if you have a child, you can't bury your head in the sand. If you know your child has problems, don't pretend like they don't. Or if I just say he don't, or if you come to me and tell me that my son or my daughter is having problems, I want to pretend like, oh no, it's you the problem, right, not them. I mean, the fact that we know that these incidents happen mostly only with young men, as far as being violent, when they want to go out and get a gun and come back and shoot people.
It was oftentimes, and
I mean,
I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, but oftentimes young people turn out to be not so young after a while, and they really don't have any parameters around them because they always were trying to keep people upset, so they would stay away from him. So he was getting bullied in school, and he was getting bullied at his other home because we pulled him out of foster care, and come to find out that the foster mother had him, and they were just abusing these kids, something horrible. I don't even.
But you never know.
But you don't know what's going on. You never
know. But we still try to address the issue. So okay, well, if this is, we know that there's issues. We at least they told us in advance that he was violent. That's why we went to the school and said, it would be irresponsible for me to put you in school and not tell the school what was going on. What the deal is. Because then you're not trying to make a difference.
Right. And it's a joint effort.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do for Mr. Strickland is have him on as a guest next week when we can figure out the problems that happen.
Just so you know what.
Because we don't know what happened. I mean, we the system just was not working right. I mean, it is a system.
Well, whenever he comes on, it's going to be a phenomenal conversation.
We're planning to have him on next week.
Okay.
But we'll work out the bugs because we don't know exactly what bug happened.
Hey, it's artificial intelligence. It works like it wants to work. But before we go,
yes,
and there's so much crazy stuff happening in the world. Yeah. I just want to share with you all a beautiful piece of history with Mr. Kennedy and I.
History.
I have known you, and you have known me all of our adult life.
No, I'm only a baby. I don't know how that could be.
A baby old man, if you're a baby anything.
Well,
anyway, nonetheless. See, this is why I got to hold on.
Hold on.
Jesus, take the wheel because we can't do it by ourselves.
No, but we've been together since 1972.
October the 8th. 52 years
ago.
And I always said to him, the first time I said I loved him, I love you to him, you just kind of looked at me like you were shocked. And I was like, you do know I love you, right? Yeah, I love you too. And I went, okay, now that's what we got to put down some rules and regulations. I'm just letting you know off the rip. That's the first thing I said. Okay, there can only be one crazy person in a couple, and I take that delegation.
Well, I knew that already. You didn't have to say that. I kind of knew that because, when the first time I met her, okay, I had to run because I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on here. I better just slow down, evaluate the situation. See, and I told our grandkids this as well. Get to know the person. Don't just jump in right away. Observe the person. Mm-hmm. Observe the person. Before you, if you get a chance, go to their home, see what their home life is like. Because if they have a traumatic home life, more than likely, that part of that drama will carry over to them as well.
And sometimes young people just want to get into a relationship so they can not be at home. And they can, right. And they're
90 seconds.
Wait, what is she talking about?
It's 90 seconds left in the show.
No.
That's what she said.
Okay, well, I just want to let you all know. Solid relationships do avail.
Are available. They do happen every day. You just have to truly care and get to know the person.
And every day.
Know the good and the bad. Because it is not just knowing only the good. Because see, that's why things don't work out. If you only want to know only the good, when the bad happened, then you really thrown off your game because you didn't bother to get to know bad too.
That's when you say. That's when they say she crazy, and they would. And your friends would tell you too. And this is even
right.
Before we got
you crazy. And I said, okay, I know. It ain't like I don't know that now. I'm paying attention too. Yes, I do know she crazy. No, but she's a special kind of crazy. I like that special kind of crazy. But the fact that I knew that, see, if you don't, you didn't go in blind. Then you can't do something about what you don't know.
Hold on, happy anniversary, 52 years. Y'all better keep on going with the continued blessing. Hey, that's my brother Joe calling, and I just found out that your sister just let us know that they're safe and they're doing great. Thank you very much.
We pray for all those down there in Florida with this hurricane because this time we're lucky that it's only going to affect Florida. It's not going to affect other states because it's going out to the ocean.
Well,
and so now you can wrap up.
Okay, now I can wrap up. Remember this, babies, no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, it matters not what skin you're in.